All right. So good morning. Hi, Holly. Hi, Sam. Today we are pretty much we're going to take it easy for a little while, but then we are going to end up doing a few strong things while standing up. And I'm thinking of a block, a ball, a blanket, and a strap today. Okay, so let's just begin by laying down, and if you have your blanket nearby, I want to suggest maybe taking your blanket and placing it over your lower belly. And you might even decide to kind of tuck yourself in a little bit, maybe taking that blanket and just kind of tucking it around the sides of you so that your lower belly area feels sort of contained. The blanket should be a nice little bit of weight. And if you have anything else nearby that you want to place in your belly, like a bolster or a sandbag or something like that, that's another thought. It's just kind of a way to help us feel a little bit more grounded and a little bit more settled. Just a signal to our nervous system that we are approaching our practice and that it's safe to sort of go within our bodies, to notice and to kind of breathe anyway. So just taking a few moments here on your back, your legs can be in any sort of position that feels right for your hips. And at some point we are going to move around a little bit on our backs, but for now, let's just see if we can find something that's somewhat symmetrical. So your arms, any style. Your legs arranged any style. Good morning. Come on. I think that's the spot. Good. For maybe like a good few breaths, just sort of take notice of the type of energy that you have in your body today. Block, strap, and a blanket. Maybe the energy is sort of busy, maybe it feels sort of low. If I had to describe my energy today, it would be maybe like a bit squirrely, if that makes sense. So this kind of rushed busyness, this alertness. What does your energy feel like today? And then as you take notice of how things are feeling inside of your physical body and in your energetic body, just think about how you want to approach your practice and what you're looking to sort of receive from your practice today. Sometimes it's as simple as just a greater connection with yourself. Sometimes rather than receiving, there's something that you want to release. So a few moments to kind of distill a few words. Your belly wrapped up, your body somewhat symmetrical. Finding just a few words to tap into your practice. And a couple of breaths. And then here on your back, just take your hands and bring your palms together and give them a good rub. Rub it pretty quickly, create some friction here. And create a whole bunch of friction, and then we're going to do a little bit of the scream, except we're not going to actually scream, but we are going to take the heels of our hands to our hairline, And then just take our hands and sort of slide them down our face. And you might open your mouth, your fingers will kind of break along your face, and your hands will come to your heart. And let's just do that a couple of times. So rubbing the palms together, building up the heat. I'm loving this one these days. And then, yeah, just rub those hands down your face. And digging those fingers in. Yeah, maybe 3 times. Good. Right. Oh. Good. And then take your hands to your heart, your fingertips to your breastbone right there in the middle, and just kind of gently rub them up and down a little bit. So it's like a little bit of like a up and down massage, or maybe you're moving quickly. Good. And then we're just going to rake our fingers out from the center of the heart space out to the sides. And while you're doing this, let your jaw be relaxed. And then let's take our hands and bring them down to our belly and just rub our bellies. Good. Hands might move side to side here, or around in a big circle. A few more breaths. If you're rubbing circles, go in both directions. And then from here, let's just grab a hold of our block, and we're going to place it, we're going to roll over to our right side and place the block underneath your head so that your neck feels really comfortable. Ideally, your spine just kind of continues in this kind of straight line out to the crown of the head without the head dropping down too much. And then it might be nice to bend that bottom knee, but we're just going to take that left leg and send it up. So yeah, so lifting up that left leg, let's roll the ankle around a few times. And so much of our ability to balance and know where we are in space actually comes from our ankles. Right, so notice how they feel today. And all the pops and the cracks, I know I'm hearing them. Good, and see if you can let your upper body just be sort of relaxed here. If the shoulders are clenched, if the jaw is clenched, soften those a tiny bit. And then we're just going to bend that knee, and we're going to move the knee around in a big circle. So we're moving our femur and our hip socket, and just kind of observing how that feels. And there's no like wrong way to do this. Okay, we all have differently shaped hip sockets. So just kind of feeling out the edges of yours. Yeah, and take those circles in both directions. Good, a few more breaths. All right, and then from here, let's point that left knee down and away from you. And we're going to reach back for your left foot with your left hand and just kind of give it a squeeze here. Yeah, press that knee down and out. Feel the front of your thigh. And notice your shoulder. And just take a couple of breaths. One more breath. And then go ahead and release. And as you do that, we're going to roll into our backs again. And it might be nice for you to keep the block there. This is a powerful way to relieve tension in the scalp. It's a nice way to relieve tension, headaches if you get them. And actually can really be helpful if you have sinus issues too, rocking your head back and forth on the block. And as you rock your head back and forth, notice where the edge of the block is. Make sure it's gently pressing into the base of the skull. A breath or two. Right, let's that block out of there. Just send it out past your head for a moment. And then we're going to slide that right leg nice and long on the ground and tuck that left foot underneath the right thigh so that your left knee moves out to the side. And we're sort of looking for this tree pose on our backs. And there are a couple of options. So one of which is that you can kind of keep that right leg soft, let your toes kind of drop over to the right. You might take your hands onto your belly and just give yourself a nice little rub. And you could also consider getting nice and strong here too. So maybe you're extending those arms out past your head and really flexing through that right foot and kind of flexing your glutes. And then taking notice of the whole spine here. And just breathing while you're in this kind of active state on your back. We'll be here for about a minute. No matter which variation you've chosen, just kind of notice where you're connected to the ground. And notice where it's supporting you. Notice the state of things in your face, especially your jaw and your eyes. Another couple of breaths. And then from here, if your arms are out past your head, just bring them down alongside you. We're going to bend that right knee and bring the sole of the right foot to the floor. And then let's cross that left ankle over the right knee for figure four. And yeah, we might leave that right foot down on the ground, or you could hug the right thigh in towards your chest. And let's just take a little rock around up the lower back here. And notice your sacrum. One of your sitting bones, the inner edges of your shoulder blades. And notice your collarbone. And for maybe the next 5 breaths or so, just think about drawing your chin down, kind of towards the chest, or in towards the throat. The back of the head really presses into the ground here. Another breath. Okay, and then let's set that right foot down and set your left foot down and reach overhead if that is where your block is. And let's take the block and place it underneath the pelvis for restorative bridge. So just finishing up on this left leg, let's slide that left leg out nice and long here. Notice if the block needs to be adjusted a little bit to help support this leg being long, and then we're just gonna rock that left leg, or kind of shake that left leg a little bit. So you're kind of moving. I like to think about it as moving the toes. So moving the toes, and that kind of in turn moves my whole leg. Kind of pulsing that leg. And sometimes it's helpful to place your hands on your belly here while you're doing that little bit of pulsing. Good. And finally, it might be nice to find some stillness with that leg, and then reach your arms out past your head. And maybe even grab a hold of your elbows or interlace your fingers. Finding length. 3 more breaths or so. Okay, and then let's kind of drag that left leg in. And we're going to pull the knees in towards the chest, keeping your pelvis lifted up on that block. And I like to slide the block a little bit further down. As I do that, it just feels better on my lower back. The idea is to give our lumbar vertebrae a little bit more distance between each other and give those spongy discs in between a little bit more space. Notice those knees kind of dropping in towards the center of the chest or the sides of the chest. And then, yeah, if you want to, it's just a thought, just an option, you might extend your legs out long. So it's almost like you're in this forward fold, but with your back on the floor. You opted to extend the legs out long, play around with the feet, maybe flexing them deeply, maybe letting them be neutral or even pointing them. Just notice how everything feels. Good. One more breath. Let's come on out of this, placing the feet down. Pick up that block. Set the pelvis down. And then we're going to roll over to our left side. And hopefully I can remember everything we just did. The chances are okay. So we'll have our head on the block. We're on our left side. And we're just going to send that right foot up here and rotate the ankle around a whole bunch of times. Just notice how your feet feel. What is the sounds coming from your leg, if there are any? Toes feel. A couple more rotations in both directions. And then go ahead and bend that right knee. And we're just going to move the knee around in some kind of a circle. So yeah, once again, there's no like right or wrong way to do this. Maybe you're moving it in like a half circle. Maybe you're moving it all the way around. Try to go in both directions. Sort of paying most attention to the sensation in your hip, almost as if you're kind of mentally mapping out the shape of your hip socket. Does it feel easy to move your hip today? Does it feel a little iffy? A few more breaths. Let's go ahead and set that right foot down and we'll roll onto our backs again. Yeah, block underneath the head. And just a few more moments of rocking your head side to side. And as you do that, you might arrange your arms differently than you did the last time so that it feels a little different, or maybe your arms are doing the same thing. In addition to this being really wonderful for the pressure points at the base of the skull, just the act of rocking is really soothing. So we'll just take a few more moments to really feel this slow and easy rocking motion. If maybe even your eyes can get in on that. Maybe your eyes don't have to be so rigidly held here. And a couple. Right, and then from here, we can just take that block out from underneath the head, slide it out. Yeah, this time we'll extend that left leg out long on the floor, and we'll tuck the right foot underneath the left thigh. And just find your tree. Maybe it's a sleeping tree pose with that left set of toes kind of flopping out to the sides, and your hands might be placed onto your torso. But you might also decide to activate this, to really flex through that left foot, to reach out, making that choice. If you've decided to activate, notice the muscles of the belly. Notice the lower ribs and how they move. Think about another 5 deep breaths. Okay, if your arms are out past your head, let's just bring them back alongside you. We'll bend that left knee. Bring the foot to the ground, and same thing with the right foot, both knees pointing up. Let's grab a hold of that block. Oh, wait, hold on, I forgot. Figure 4. There we go. Yeah, so cross your right ankle over your left knee. Left foot could stay planted onto the ground. Maybe a little rocking side to side. If you want to pull that left thigh towards your chest, that's a place to go here too. Notice, feel that right hip. Another 3 breaths or so. All right, now, yeah, let's set that left foot down if it's lifted. Place the right foot on the ground. And yeah, now it's time for the block, which we'll place under the pelvis. Yeah, and that right leg is going to slide out nice and long this time. And sometimes I like to put my block on like a little bit of a diagonal to help support that a little bit more. Is you bring that right leg out long, the toes flop out to the side here, and you might like shake your leg around a little bit. If shaking your leg around doesn't quite feel right, it's fine to just be still. Good, hands can be on your belly. They're out past your head. Few big breaths. Right. And then from here, a couple of options, one of which is to bend both of your knees and take the soles of the feet to the floor. The other is to extend both of your legs out long. Good, so finding this restorative bridge pose. And then while we're here, let's find a little bit of this self massage, and we're gonna kind of trace a circle around the first, let's get started at the solar plexus area. So that's kind of right in between where your rib cage meets, just below your breastbone. It's this mass of nerves. I'm a total nerd and I watched a dissection recently. And like looking at the solar plexus as an actual physical thing and not just this like energetic idea is so freaking cool. You're like, wow, it's real. It's not just like made up. So yeah, so let's take our fingers and place them on our solar plexus, and then we're going to trace a circle around the ribs, so the edges of the ribs, down along the side of the belly to one of your hip points, and then across the low belly to your other hip point, and then up around to your lower ribs again on the other side. Yeah, and then just take the circles in that direction a few times. And it might be more than your fingers. You might use your whole hands if you feel so inclined. Moving in this big circle. Good. And then once you find your way back to your solar plexus after a few rotations, go the other direction. Just a few in that direction. And then we'll come back to the center, just set our hands down on top of our bellies. And let's take a couple of breaths. These breaths don't have to be like to move the belly or press it outward or anything like that, but just take your breaths and notice how your belly moves naturally. And notice how your breath also moves up in your chest and your shoulders. Sides of the rib cage, your upper back. Good. And then one more time, we're going to practice this little bit of like a snail pose. So let's pull the knees in towards the chest and adjust your block. Good. Yeah. My back really wanted that. And then, yeah, you might extend those legs out long past your head. A snail pose is essentially like a soft and easygoing plow pose. Not as much pressure on the neck, but we still get the benefit of pressing down into the upper back and finding space in the backs of the legs. Yeah, you might roll ankles around or pointed flex. Might even grab a hold of your feet with your hands and give them a little squeeze, if that's in the cards for you. Good. And then when you feel nice and ready to get out of this, go ahead and just set your feet back down to the ground. And yeah, we're going to take that block out of the way. And let's just curl up on our side for a moment, whichever side you want. Maybe the block is underneath your head again. Good. And I just want to encourage a little bit of like this rocking motion here on your side. So I'm kind of rocking that. My right hip is down on the ground, but I'm kind of rocking my left hip a little bit forward and backward, and my shoulders. And the side of my head is pressing down into the block. And just a few big breaths, and as you breathe, notice how the back of the body receives that breath. And I really, really don't want to ruin all the restful fun we've been having. But I think we're going to get up now, kind of. So let's lift ourselves up and find hands and knees. And here on hands and knees, yeah, I just want to suggest maybe like a little bit of a blanket action underneath your knees so that they're not feeling too pressured. Good. And then let's focus mostly on our hands and our wrists here just for a few breaths. So let's spread the fingers out nice and wide. And yeah, I think a couple of circles above the wrist might be nice. This gentle circular motion. Moving those shoulders overhead. Notice how your palms feel. Keep the circles in both directions. A tricky spot on the floor. Good. All right, and then let's come back through to the center. Find a neutral spine. We're going to tuck our thumbs into the rest of our fingers and make fists. And while we're here, kind of squeezing our fists and pressing our knuckles down into the ground, with this neutral spine, just let your belly drop down. And you notice how it feels to just let your belly drop down. And what does your spine do? And what does your pelvis do here? What does your jaw want to do? And finally, what is your mind doing as you just let your belly drop down? Just take a couple more breaths like this. One more breath. Okay, re-engage your belly. Hooray. And we're gonna move ourselves back into something kind of like a toe squat. So there are a few different options for this, one of which is to come onto hands and knees and just gently tuck your toes underneath and press back. My favorite way, which is building like a little prop stack. Mine's usually like a couple of blocks or a bolster. Today my feet are feeling a little iffy, so a blanket on top of the block would be nice. But tucking your toes underneath and just kind of sitting back. And if it feels like, no, bring your hands down. Bring your hands down to the ground. If sitting back and sitting down on your heels doesn't quite work, you're welcome to stand up on your knees too. I'm just going to take a couple of moments here. And if it feels really intense in your feet, sometimes it's nice to kind of distract yourself. So maybe a little mudra. We might take a Vajradhamma mudra here, interlacing your fingers like a little gate and holding it up in front of your heart. Notice the speed of your breath as you sit here. And notice how the soles of the feet feel. Notice the tops of your shoulders and settle them away from your ears. And just another 3 breaths or so. And let's just exit this pose in any way that you need to. I'm thinking our next stop is going to be a standing forward fold pose. So you might just kind of straighten those legs and send your hips up. Maybe you want to come back to hands and knees and kick your feet around a little bit, and that's fine too. All right, but let's mess up our hair a little bit. And this is totally optional always, but I'm such a huge fan of like pulling on my own hair. Good. So you might grab hair at the base of the skull and just give it a gentle tug. Maybe you want to pull at the hair at the top of your head, the back of your head, but our head is so full of all of these acupuncture points, all these vital points. We'll just take a few moments and maybe rake your fingers through your hair. You might massage your scalp. And then maybe your fingers even make their way up to the back of the neck, and you're sort of giving yourself a little squeeze there, or you might kind of walk your fingers like you're playing the piano up and down either side of your cervical spine. And for just a few moments, let's take the hands to the lower back. Just kind of place the palms of the hands there. We're just going to run the heels of the hands up and down either side of the lowest part of your spine. So from your sacrum up to about your kidney area. Might be nice to interlace your fingers so that your hands are kind of connected and they move a little bit more easily together. Good, and then let's move really, really, really slowly, like comically slow, up into a standing position. With your head coming up last. And let's think about keeping nice and soft as you go. So the knees are bent, the elbows are bent, bent at the waist. And eventually we're just going to stand up nice and tall in this mountain pose. With your feet just about hip socket distance, your hands pointing forward, or your palms pointing forward, I should say. Good. Collarbones broad here. Okay, with both of your feet on the floor, send all of the weight down into your right foot, like you're going to pick up your left foot, but it's still connect. And then let's rock over to the center, and then let's send all the weight down to the left foot. Almost like you're going to pick up the right foot. And then let's come back to center. And then let's take both hands onto the heart. And a few deep breaths. Okay, guys, we're gonna do it. Let's take a chair pose. Sorry. This is like one of the better things you can do for your body for sure. So as you sit down in your chair pose, let's really focus on sending those arms out nice and long past the head. This helps us to strengthen the middle of our back when we do this. Good. Sitting down as low as feels just a little bit uncomfortable, but not too uncomfortable. Yeah, think about lifting those arms up, feel the mid-back engage again. Big breath in. And then let's exhale and just fold it forward. Let the head drop down. Good. You might swing your head around just a little bit and kind of gently. Right. And then from here, we're just going to take our feet a little bit wider. So maybe slightly wider than your hip sockets. And I like to have a block underneath my face. So it's like this little triangle that we have here. And we're just going to deeply bend the right knee, place that right hand down and open up into a little bit of a twist. Left arm reaches high. Good. Yeah, as you bend that right knee, really press into your left foot, creating that bit of tension. Good. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So let's drop that left hand down, deeply bend the left knee and reach up with that right hand. Good. Press that right foot into the ground. Good. Another breath. You just fold yourself forward. Yeah, let the head drop down. Really feel the weight of your head. Let's swing around a little bit. And then once again, nice and slow, like maybe too slow. Maybe you're taking your fingertips onto the fronts of your shins and then up onto your knees, walking them all the way up the thighs. Eventually, we're going to come back up into mountain pose. Good. So let's lean to the left and place all the weight into the outside part of your left foot and the inner part of your right foot. And then we're going to lean over to the right. Place all the weight on the outer part of the right foot and the inner part of the left foot. Good, and then set both of your feet down. It's our ball, I think. So grab a hold of your ball. You can see my lower half. Here we are. Okay, so with our ball, let's just give ourselves a little foot roll. There's no real magic to this. We don't have to do anything special. And there are lots of different techniques, I guess, but that's not really what we're going for. We're just going for this sense of relief, this sense of ease in the foot. So don't worry about pressing down or really like pushing into anything that feels tender. In fact, I want to suggest maybe sort of like quickly skimming over it today. Yeah, balls fly sometimes. It's just a little feel-good roll of the feet. Nice. Yeah, once you feel like that one foot is done, then you can just step it down and go right on over to the other foot. Notice how your knees are feeling. Notice if you clenched your butt while doing this. I know that like all of a sudden I'm like, definitely trying to stabilize in that way. And so just a couple more moments. Okay, and then just go ahead and let that ball move over to the side. And let's close our eyes if that feels comfortable to you. And just stand on your feet. Stand on your feet. Strong legs. Notice your glutes. Notice the middle of your back. Notice your low belly. And notice your solar plexus. Your shoulders, these warm, heavy things. Your arms nice and loose. Head perched atop of all of it. Right, and then we're going to lean all the way over to the left, place all the weight into that foot, and let's pick up our right foot and bring our knee in towards the chest. Adjust here. So we'll bring the knee in towards the chest. This is my favorite. We're going to bring our left hand out. So we'll have our right foot out and our left hand out. And let's make some figure eights with your left foot, or sorry, your left hand and your right foot. Using the wall for balance if you want to. Yeah, you can totally hold the wall. Yes. Highly encourage that. This can also be done sitting down or laying down. Good. And then take your figure eights in the other direction. Notice your brain go, whoa. Notice your hand and foot do whatever they do. And just roll with it. That's all we can do. Good. Another breath or two. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what they're doing right now. That kind of day. Okay, and then let's go ahead and set it down and take a chair pose. Good. As you take your chair pose, you might consider rocking up onto your toes or not. You might consider sitting down really low. Yeah, but focus on those arms, really reaching up, lifting that heart a little bit. Yeah, this is working all of our dignity muscles, our butt, our core, our back. Good, another big breath in, and then we're gonna exhale and fold forward. Maybe it's time for another little head massage if you like that. Maybe you wanna rub your feet. Maybe you wanna take your hands and rub them in a circular way around your ankles. Maybe you just wanna be still here. Let's take about 5 breaths or so. Good, and then let's make our way back up to standing, moving kind of slowly. Orient yourself in space. And feel your feet on the ground, mountain pose. And just a couple of deep breaths. All right, so from here, we're gonna rock all the way around to that right foot. And let's bring that left knee up towards the chest. Yeah, find something to hang onto if you'd like. Let's take our right hand out and start moving in our figure eights. So that left foot and that right hand drawing those figure eights in the same direction, ideally. You can do this in opposite directions, like you don't need to be here. Probably not. Yeah, pat your head, rub your tummy. Keep up and down, chin down. All right, now let's go the other way. See what happens. Maybe things get slower. Maybe things are really jangly. Maybe your balance goes out. Maybe it happens. Who knows? Good, just a few more breaths. Right, and go ahead and just set that down. Last time, I promised, chair pose. Yeah. So last chair of the day, in this context, but just think about when you're sitting down in chairs. Maybe you're sitting down in a similar way and thinking about engaging your core and your back. As you're getting out of a chair, you're thinking about pressing into your feet. Good, a few more breaths. Good, and then we'll fold ourselves forward. Let it go. All right, and I just want to invite you to kind of hang onto the standing forward fold for about 10 breaths or so. Options here involve, you may be grabbing hold of your big toes, pulling your chest in towards your thighs. Maybe it's really soft. Your knees could be bent. Maybe you're grabbing your elbows. Good. Maybe you're paying attention to your head, neck, and shoulders again. Or even interlacing your hands behind you and pressing your knuckles up. Last breath. Okay, we're going to sit down. So take a little bit of time to get yourself there. You might sit up on a block or a blanket. I feel like, I don't know, I love forward folding a lot, seated forward folds. But some people don't. Some people just not very comfortable. If this isn't comfortable, many of these things can be done at a wall. I'm thinking about a wide angle this morning. That might work. You might also take a butterfly, soles of the feet together, knees wide. But we're going to fold forward and hang in for, yeah, maybe about 3 minutes. Yeah, about 3 minutes. So just getting yourself set up so that you're somewhat comfortable. As you get yourself set up, just notice what parts of you are in contact with the ground. Whatever props you're using, maybe a block under your head. and just listen to the sound of your breath. Good. You're just about halfway through. Continue listening to your breath. Maybe the ambient sounds in the room around you. Maybe sounds of the world outside the room that you're in. Good. Another 5 breaths. Good. And then you can choose how you would like to close out your practice. Maybe you are just wanting to sit up in meditation. There's always Shavasana. You might take a child's pose or lay down on your belly. And I was thinking of, formats of silence. Which doesn't come easily, I don't think. So, your relatives. But your body breathing, creaks of the floor, the sounds of the world around you. Oh, it's time to do the things that feel like the right things for you, to wake yourself up and out of your practice. All those little wiggles, the big movements. Eventually, we'll all kind of sit up together, I think, for a couple of breaths. Come to sit up. Let's just find our solar plexus again. This knotty mess of nerves and fascia, and I don't know why I said mess, but it is really weird looking. So let's find our solar plexus and just give it a little bit of a rub. So it might be like a little bit of pressure, but don't go too intensely. Just a little something. And just move your fingers side to side. Just notice how the belly feels. Notice how the shoulder feels. And notice the thoughts inside of your head, if there are any to be addressed. You might repeat to yourself the intention that you set earlier, or those few words that you said to yourself at the beginning of practice. And if, like me, you just don't remember what they are, that's fine. You might come up with a couple more. Or not. And eventually just take your left hand up onto your heart. You can let your right hand still sit on your solar plexus. And we'll take a big breath in together. And a big breath out to drop the head down towards these two places, your heart and your guts, leading with both. Okay, thanks for coming this morning, everybody. Really comfortable here. You are so welcome.